Language is the window into someone's belief set. Okay? How they speak is telling us how they think. Okay?
3, 2, 1.
All right, guys, it is the final stretch before I go off for my birthday dinner to start my birthday weekend, and I wanted to make sure I got this training done. Most of you guys voted for an advanced objection handling training, so this is one of my favorite trainings that I do with all my one-on-one students, and I just did this with one of my one-on-one students on Monday, and I want to show you what she sent me. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me move my face. Right here, Kalia. Literally implemented everything we just talked about and closed a 3K package for a guy who even messaged before the call saying it wasn't a sure thing yet and he doesn't want to waste my time. Okay. How many of you guys have gotten that before? Hey, I'm going to cancel. I don't want to waste your time. It's just not right, or I don't have the money, or I don't want to get pitched, right? This is how we get those people to not just be skeptical, but to be buyers. Okay. And this training is all going to be about how do we break frames through language patterns. Okay. Remember, sales, especially in objections, right? Your prospect is typically in fight or flight. So it's a frame battle. They're trying to give things to you so you buy into their frame and get them out of the feeling of discomfort. And you're trying to hold that frame of leadership to help guide them over the hesitation that they're feeling. And I'm going to show you what is the language we need to look for, what it's really saying. And in this training, I want to train you guys how to think. Not just like what to say, what to regurgitate, though word tracks are very effective. I want to train you how to think so you can cut through a lot of the noise and really help these people overcome themselves. Because that's really what they're dealing with at the end of the call. Okay? So this training is going to be called Breaking Frames Through Language Patterns. And this is how I personally have applied emotional intelligence into selling. Okay? Now, this is for typically like logistical and really fear or hesitation based objections. Okay. Now remember, before we get into these types of objections, we need to make sure that the people, we're on the same team with our prospect. Like they feel the program is going to work. They've told us why it's going to work. Okay. We've handled logistics. We've handled and made sure it's not a money thing. Right, because some deals can just be, you can just win over deals by finding the right financing or payment plan option, right? So we want to make sure it's none of those things. And now we're here in hesitation. Okay, hesitation, fear, all the things. Language is the window into someone's belief set. Okay, how they speak is telling us how they think. Okay, if you learn anything from this training, by the way, how do you guys have actually gone through that other one that I sent when you joined the community? Because that one is kind of like this, but for discovery. This is going to be much more advanced, but in objections. And I don't want all these free trainings to just be sitting in a Google Drive that you never go through. Actually, like practice, sit with this, take notes, implement it, and role play. Hit up other people in the school community, role play. Okay. Now, is this language coming from victim or ownership and responsibility? Now, when I say victim, I guess let you think about it. How do you define someone in victim? I'm not talking about someone who's a victim of like a natural disaster. How do you define someone who's being a victim or who's in victim? And how do you define someone who's in ownership and responsibility? They both cannot coexist. You either are in victim, being a victim, or you're taking ownership to change your situation. Okay. So how do I define someone who is like in victim? It's like they're allowing the situation that they're in to dictate their life and their outcomes. They are giving up full ownership of taking charge of making changes. Now it's really important to understand they might not have caused their problems, but it's their responsibility to solve them. Right? And you guys, once you start picking up this language, this is powerful. You start seeing it everywhere, including yourself. Like when you're at dinner with old friends, are they complaining about the environment? Or the economy? Right? Are they complaining about billionaires not paying their taxes? Are they complaining about how it's slow season? Is that a statement that comes from someone who's in victim or in ownership of the outcomes of their life? And what about you? Right? When things aren't working in your favor, when you're not getting the outcomes that you want, how are you navigating it? From victim or being in ownership? And when you can bring that awareness to yourself and lead yourself through it, you'll be able to do the same things for your prospects. Okay? So, define that. What does it mean to be someone in victim and someone in responsibility? Here are a couple examples. See if you guys pick this up. I don't know if now is, and you guys have guaranteed you guys have gotten this on a sales call. I don't know if now is the best time. I have kids, I have a job, things. It's been really busy. Everything sounds good, but you're a salesperson. You're supposed to make it sound good. I really hope you're right. I really want this to work. I really hope that it does. Well, I've been trying. I want to try this a little bit longer. What is that language? What is that language telling you, right? First of all, what are they doing? They're trying to take the frame. They hoping that you agree with them. I have kids, so it's really difficult to put time aside for my business. They're trying to take the frame and have you, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, being a parent is hard. I get it. Yeah. They're trying to have you reward this way of thinking because it's comfortable for them. Now, I'm not a parent, so I don't know. Of course it's hard. No shit, it's hard. But we're not here because we want easy. We're here because we want change. So what's that language telling you about their way of thinking? Okay, I'm going to take some of these principles from another perspective. Well, first, let me. Is this coming? These responses, is this coming from someone who's in victim or in ownership? I have kids, so entrepreneurship. Everyone else has it easier because I have 2 kids and I have 2 jobs to feed the family. So other people don't know what it's like. Is that someone who's taking ownership for the decisions that they've made? No, it's someone who is being a victim to their situation, giving up all power. Now, take the same statements through this lens. I'm busy, but man, I'll make time. I have kids, but I can find a babysitter. Man, this won't be easy, but I need this. Right? And think about in your own life. What do you say? Are you the first or the second? Now, how do we apply this into our sales conversation in objections? Right? I want to give you a mental model. When your prospect is speaking, is our prospect externalizing their success? Are they putting it outside of them? Are they making their success conditional to something outside of them? If blank, then why? If this happens, then I can succeed. Right? And this is just because Facebook is on one right now with political stuff. But yep, if billionaires start paying their taxes, then it'll be a lot easier for me to start my business. Fuck. Yeah, if my partner says yes, then I'll fully commit. If my partner allows me to do this, then yes, I'll fully commit. Is their success conditional? And when you can identify what they're saying, how long has that thought pattern been present? That way of thinking, that way of doing things, how long has that been present? And one of my favorite, how much longer is that going to continue to be the story of your life? That if things happen, then you'll create what you want. And this is how we start. This is how when people start giving us all of these things, right? I'm like, oh, dude, this person's in victim right now. They're giving me all these things because it's comfortable. I'm not buying into that. I'm cutting straight through that. Yeah, man. It's always going to be a busy time if you're going to be a business owner, right? So is your success right now conditional conditional of you having more time, or are you going to make the time? Because when is going to be a good time? So this way of thinking of the perfect time needs to arise for me to take risks and actually do things I've never done before. How long has that thought pattern been present? How long has that way of thinking actually self-sabotaged you? How many times before? When you've been this close to actually committing to something new? And how much longer are you going to allow that to define your life, to define the outcomes that you achieve? I have not bought into the frames that they've tried to give me. I've taken that. I've found the language. I've found the broken pattern, and now I'm challenging the prospect. One of my favorite one-liners, I can't remember if I learned this from someone or if it just came to me, probably a mix of both. But, when you're selling BizOp, right, and really fitness too, one of my favorite things to say, it's like, look, man, like you have all these reasons why you can't. You're busy, you're this, you're that, but can I share a perspective with you? Because this really helped me out. Dude, if a cameraman was following you around for the last 6 months, bathroom breaks aside, and they watched what you did every day, would the audience that was watching, would they be betting on you? Why not? Like, you're immediately cutting through all the excuses and you're just putting the responsibility on them. And that's where they either step up or step out. But that's the choice point that you get to bring a prospect to. So this is something that takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around. But the mental framework here is victim versus responsibility. Is the language coming from a place of victim or ownership or responsibility? Because there's prospects that are aware, like, yeah, man, look, I don't have the money right now, but that's why I'm here. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but I want to figure it out. Cool. That's someone who's scared. That's someone who, has enough awareness that's a sale. But it's the other side. It's like, yeah, I think I want to save up for it. Like, I want to keep trying the free resources. And then can you guys can I follow up with you guys in a month? Is that the language of a winner? Is that the language of someone that will not let themselves fail? Who's driven so powerfully by purpose and why and giving back to the things they believe in? That's for you to decide. So I hope that helps. See you guys in the next one. Peace.